guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie, and this is Ella.
Hi.
We've tried to do this 4 times, but we're kind
Practice
of
makes perfect.
the the friends that when they get together, they laugh really hard, so we can't be in serious situations together.
This is a bad combination.
So we're having to be really serious, and we can have deep conversation, but we're normally not on camera.
Yeah.
So it's really throwing us off.
Dynamic.
So we're gonna have to really hold it together here. Where are you from?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
That was not necessary. Okay. We met at Furman at the Legacy Luncheon.
Yes.
Which is for alumni kids and their parents. So both of our moms went, like my mom and her mom, went to Furman at the same time, but they didn't really know each other. And basically at that lunch, it was like the second day of school, and I was like so stressed, and all I knew was me and my roommate, and I was like, we have to meet somebody else. We have to meet somebody else. And me and my family were eating lunch there, and I didn't talk to a single person. And so I like got up and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. So me and my brother were like walking, and I was like, next person I see, I'm saying something to. And next person I saw was Ella and her sister.
So crazy.
Her sister was wearing a cute dress, so I said something to them, and I was just like, hey, I'm Sophie.
She was so cute.
Friend.
You were so cute and nice.
And basically it's history from there. I wrote a letter and a sticky note on the door of my phone number. And then we just started hanging out.
I still have the sticky note.
As you should.
It's really
It'll be full circle one day. And then like we just like really got along, and it was actually really sweet that something that I was like praying for so much coming into Furman, like knowing it wasn't a Christian school, was like for a Christian community. And everyone was like, you're not going to find that quickly. Like you'll find it. Obviously, like eventually there's Christians everywhere, but it was like really like such a sweet thing from the Lord that
the second day
gave us something so fast. And just like people to hang out with in a group the first couple weeks, so you don't end up doing things you don't want to do. Just to fit in.
It was such a God thing.
So that was just kind of crazy, and we met there, and you know, we just started all hanging out from there. And now we just finished our first semester.
So crazy.
So semester 2, here we go.
Wow.
So that's how we met. And that's how we're here now. All because of the yellow sticky note.
Wow.
In the Legacy Luncheon. All because of our
crazy timing.
Parents decided to come Furman.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
And we went to the bathroom at the same time.
And we both had to pee because, did you drink tea there?
Yes, I did.
Me too.
It's
And
really
like
good
that sweet tea was so good. I don't remember what else I had. They had cookies, but I didn't. This is not.
I don't remember. But it was a monumental moment.
It was.
It was remembered.
Just wow. Okay. Let's hear your story.
My testimony?
Let's hear it.
Okay, let's hear it.
So,
okay. I grew up in the church. Just have always been surrounded by a Christian community, which I've just been like so grateful to have. It's just been such a loving and welcoming group of people that I've just grown up alongside. And my mom and my dad have always been really involved at our church. My mom, growing up and still to this day, works on like the community outreach volunteering side of like our church. And my dad is involved in the worship team, plays the drums. So
the drummer.
He is the drummer. It's really interesting. So yeah, we're really involved on Sunday mornings, and I was just always at Sunday school. Just always around church.
Yeah, it was normal.
Yep. And then I was in 4th grade, so like 9 years old, I think, at a little like weekend retreat getaway thing for middle schoolers, or
like upper elementary,
middle school. We like combined. And I remember it was like I have such vivid memories from that weekend, because it was where I like really decided to commit to the Lord and just like accepted him into my heart as my Lord and Savior. So that was it was a really sweet moment. But I like looking back, it's like crazy to see like that was just the beginning, and I had no idea what I was
such
like.
Childlike faith, which is still faith,
right? Yeah, and it was beautiful in its own way, but like I was not really equipped yet to live like I had professed my faith. But it was just like a learning process, obviously. And middle school was really, really rough, I think, for literally everyone. But especially just like I had a lot of things going on at home. My parents got separated, and that just like shifted our family dynamic, and being so young and not really like having a clear sense of identity, and just like that whole struggle of middle school, like self-worth and just sense of belonging, and all of that was just even more difficult because I was like a kid, and I was like looking for my family to have that security and just like foundation, and then when that was like not there, and it looked really different, that was hard. And I wasn't like secure enough in my faith to really like say, okay, this is my purpose, this is my belonging. Like, yeah. So that was rough. Yeah. Through middle school. And then, it was just a journey through high school with COVID, and how that just like was so isolating. Right. And being a freshman during COVID was like, there was just so much anxiety around everything. Yeah. It was just like everything was new and more difficult than normal. Right. And I just like, I think like really struggled with anxiety through middle school because I had isolated myself, and I was like, it was just a combination of a lot of things in middle school. And then, so it was just like all through high school. That's what it was like. And then it really took till I think my junior year, where I was 16, the summer going into junior year, however old you are then. I can't.
16, like 17. I know, it doesn't really make sense.
Well, whatever. It was like 2 years
around there. Yeah.
Something like that. 2 summers ago. Whatever. My grandparents were so generous in taking me and my younger sister to Israel, which was absolutely amazing. And incredible. If you have the chance, you have to go, because it's just like, I can't even put into words. So cool. Like literally seeing the gospel in real life and walking where Jesus walked. Like that visual is just like unbelievable. Incredible. Yeah. And that changed my life. And I was baptized in the Jordan River, and it was just like,
every time you say it, I get choked. I get choked.
I can't say it without like getting choked up, because it's just like, it's literally,
that's literally incredible.
It is. It really is. And that was a changing point, I think, in my life, where I was like, okay, like I've gone through this, and I've seen how the Lord has still been good in that. Yeah. And now I'm like in a place where I feel like I can fully commit. Right. And that is what the rest of high school looked like for me. Yep. And I was just learning how to work through that. And it was just a big learning process. Yes. And then,
now we're
here. And that has changed so much.
Yeah. I think the part of like childlike faith is so like interesting to me, because like childlike faith is still faith, but it's not like being able to fully comprehend, because our minds can't comprehend that. Right. And then eventually it clicks, because it's what you're still pursuing. Now, obviously, like, if you don't keep pursuing it, and then it wouldn't click, but like eventually it clicks because you're still pursuing and growing. Yep. And I think that's just like so kind of God to have something that a child can understand, but that my grandma, who's been a Christian her whole life, will never know all of. Yeah. It's like, but then if we served a God that you could understand fully, then why is he God? But then if it's something that's like out of reach for certain people, then it's like, then he didn't come for all. Yeah. So it shows in that, like, he came for all, and he's also sovereign in a way we were never going to be able to fully understand what he's done.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I think even just something that I've been learning, like, since being at school, is how much identity I did put in my family, and wanting it to look perfect, even though it wasn't always perfect. And there's like redemption in your family story, and there's redemption in my family story. But just like the idea of like, it seems like a good thing to put your identity in your family, but then at the end of the day, like, they're still all humans. Right. And that's something I don't think I realized how much pressure I put on until being away from them.
Yes,
being
that
like,
dependence.
They don't know. People don't know who my parents are. Yeah. How am I going to describe them to people? Yeah. And then being like, oh, this is what I used to do to like try to get this certain image of my family out there, when like it's not really my place to prove anything of people. And so I think that's like really interesting. And then just already the sense of belonging, searching for that. And I feel like that could go one of two ways. Like, it's either like you're searching for belonging and searching and like for you, like the Lord was like gracious in that, and he like pulled you closer to him like through time. But then like sometimes searching for belonging looks like finding it in satisfaction of the world. Right. And I think it's really sweet how like in some stories, like, you didn't have to walk through that. Like, obviously we all find satisfaction in the world and different things, but like in bigger ways that would have caused more damage. I think is like really sweet part of your story of just like the Lord's faithfulness in that. And then the Jordan like it was literally incredible.
It's just amazing.
And be able to like read the Bible stories and then see it is like, oh, this is not pretend.
No.
That's
it's like
so
you can't
cool.
deny it when it's right in front of you.
No, that's so cool.
Really
I want to go
amazing.
so badly.
You need to go.
We were supposed to go on my senior trip, me and my mom.
Yeah,
but then
saying that.
it got like messed up with everything happening there.
Yeah.
But maybe one day I'll get back.
Yeah.
But I think what brings like, I don't know, knowing you, like a lot of people that like are on the podcast, it's like I know well, but I don't maybe hang out with literally every day, all day, like you. And so I think it's
every single meal.
Literally eat all of our meals. All of my blueberry bagels with cinnamon cream cheese every day. Well, this is really off topic, but I have to say this. Okay, like you're my friend that like, well, I feel like here is like our friend group is like the yes. Like, should we go get ice cream? Yes. Or we need Dr. Pepper. Like, I really appreciate that because I don't want to be shamed for wanting ice cream.
I'll never do that.
And that's not how that happens here. So I really appreciate that.
No. We go to
anyways,
McDonald's way too much.
Way too many times. I just had to say
You have a point system.
I have my points. I'm gonna start getting free stuff. I got a dollar drink the other day. This is so off topic. I'm so sorry. I had to say that. I had to get that out.
Really?
Yeah. After we went ice skating, my drink was $1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know. So
hard work's paying off.
It really is. It really is paying off. When you keep at something, you know, and I keep at spending money at McDonald's. Okay, anyways, that was so off topic. I just had to put that in.
It's the truth.
But like spending like genuine time with you and then like hearing our stories, like as like time goes on, it's like, well, I guess we probably should tell like each other all of our stories.
Yeah.
And just like over time doing that, and then just learning like how we were all raised similarly and differently and how that plays out now is just so interesting.
Yes.
But I think one of my first memories of that was just like how humble you read your Bible and followed Jesus. Like I just have this distinct memory, and I was like going on a walk and you're like up by the picnic table by yourself reading your Bible, and it was just this like it just like, I don't know, just like pictured you so perfect of like, oh, we don't do that for a show, we don't do that for like, hey, everyone look at me, like I'm reading my Bible, like check the box. And then like getting to know you more and more is like really cool in that way. But even realizing, this is what I was gonna say.
Okay.
That is what I was gonna say, but this is also what I was gonna say.
Well, thank you.
When like I'm from the South, you're from the North, and learning the difference of being a believer is really interesting to me.
Yes.
And
we talked about this so much.
I've just never, like, I never knew that because everyone I knew was from, like, South Carolina. And so then seeing, like, that it's, like, not that normal to be Christian up north. But then here it's, like, you're going to lie and say that you're a Christian. And then coming here and you're, like, Furman is this, like, I can't speak for you, but you would say, like, it is the strong Christian community.
Yeah. Because you had said, like, it was so opposite from what you were looking for. Like, you thought you wanted to go to a Christian school. Yeah. And in my eyes, this was, like, such
basically a Christian school.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is, like, such a dark place. And not that we both agreed on that the Lord needs to be here and that so many people here need the Lord.
Yes.
But it was just interesting because of the way, like, being in the Bible Belt, of being, like, it's normal to go to church every Sunday. Whether you believed it or not, it's really easy to be lukewarm here.
Yeah.
It's easy just to say it because that's what's easier to say. And then coming here, it's like, well, now you're in college. You're not going to pretend to do something that you're not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was for you, I think, of what you said, of just being like, it's not actually, like, if you don't think it, then you're not going to go to church.
Yeah. It's not a cultural thing at all.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, we live like 10 hours away.
Right.
And it's like different worlds.
So different.
It's like most of my friends don't go to church. Like, in my church huddle, of course they do. But like, outside of that, like, school was not like that at all. Like, hearing like Sophie's stories about her Christian friends and like your friend group, and like, that is just like, it was mind-boggling to me. I did not have friends like that. So then being here is just like, it's been such a blessing.
But then it's really sweet because the maturity and the depth of it here is so cool.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow Jesus, you're pursuing Jesus. And if you don't want to follow Jesus, then you're not. And the mission field is so vast.
Yeah.
And it's like encouraging some days where it's like I just want to live set apart. And then other days it's so discouraging being like, oh my God. Right. Like help here, a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But I just think that's something I didn't realize.
Yeah.
That, like, would be so interesting, meeting other people from places that aren't the same as mine.
Definitely.
And then just even, like, well, this is kind of about friendship, but maybe for somebody looking to find friends, it, like, to be honest and vulnerable, like, I don't think I knew the difference between, like, being vulnerable and trauma dumping.
Okay.
And something that I learned, I think, quickly here was that, like, I didn't want to trauma dump to everybody immediately, which I had done in the past, because I felt like no one could understand me if they didn't know my past. Which I think there is truth to that, but there's, like, a way to go about it that's not just being like, hey, by the way, here's everything that's ever happened in my life.
Right.
And I think that was something that was really sweet about, like, becoming friends with people here and you here, was that, like, slow, like, you just start sharing and being like, hey, like, this happened, or this sparked this, and, like, you just slowly start sharing things of your life.
And it was so natural. It wasn't like, we need to sit down and have this conversation.
It doesn't have to be forced.
Yeah.
And then being able to, like, intentionally love people well, because their moms aren't here to do that. Yeah. And normally, like, growing up, it's like, whether your parents did or not, your parents know how you're supposed to be loved. Maybe, and, like, sadly, like, some kids didn't get that, but, like, your parents still know. And then being away from that, it's like, we're not getting the love that you might get at home, or not get at home. You're not getting it here because you're alone. Yeah. And then learning, like, how do my friends need to be loved, and then, like, doing that, and then they do it for you. It's, like, intentional.
It is.
In a way that I've never experienced. Yeah. So, that was cool.
Totally agree.
Okay, we have to tell them what we learned the other week without.
Last week.
We don't have to say, like, all of our details.
Okay, we can say the 3 words. The P.
Yeah,
good. Okay, do you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Sophie and I are having a very insightful conversation, like last week it was?
Yeah.
Or, well, this won't be as time, but we were talking about how how we need to be in a posture of surrender, and what that looks like what was that quote? With the ultimate and immediate.
Yeah. We trust God with the ultimate, but not with the immediate.
Yes. And it was like, we need to recognize what that looks like to, like, live in a posture of true surrender.
Yep.
And then letting that posture dictate our priorities, which is like, okay, like, it needs to be God above all.
Right.
And then that was, like, goes along with the, like, Christ alone, and just like, there's just, like, mercy and forgiveness in him. Right. So it was like posture, priorities, and position. Yeah. Yes. To be in a posture of surrender and to have him as your priority, to then be able to, like, be in a position to accept his gifts. Yeah. That's what we talked about. And his blessings. Yeah.
We were idolizing the same thing without knowing it. Yeah. And
in different ways.
Yes, in such different ways. And we were literally together all week long. Like, we're always all together, and we just, like, never said anything about it. And then it was crazy, like, something happened last Saturday night where my eyes were finally opened. And then the next morning at church, me and Elle were sitting next to each other, and my pastor was talking about the woman at the well, and being like how the Lord just, like, reached his hand out to her, even though she was not the likely. And also, like, what she was idolizing, and how she was drinking from an empty well. Yeah. And he offers this living water. And that's when I was like, oh, I've made this an idol, and I'm drinking from it.
To that water that is not, like, it's, what word did he use? The cistern of stagnant water.
Yes.
Stagnant water. And we both looked at each other. And I got tears in my eyes, and I was like, okay, we feel so convicted right now. Like,
and it was,
oh my gosh, that was amazing. Yeah.
And being like, wake up. I've been telling you this all week. Yeah. And all life, honestly, but especially this week, he just was, like, honing in on it, and, like, toning in. I don't even know if that's a word.
Honing, yeah.
And then at church, it being like, stop drinking from the living water. Yeah. I mean, the dry water.
Yeah.
Drink from the living water.
Yes.
And, like, how many times I kept going back to this empty well, thinking it was going to satisfy me.
Yep.
And it kept leaving empty and empty and empty, and discouraged and scared and gasping for control.
Yes.
And that's when we realized, like, oh, we're gasping for control because this is leaving us empty. And the only thing that satisfies us is being in this posture of surrendering to the Lord. And that's when our 3 Ps, like, kind of came of being like, get in, then, like, be in the position to then see these gifts, and we were realizing like we both have so many gifts that the Lord given us in this season of life.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
That we were missing them because we were so focused on what we didn't have.
And so distracted.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about friendship too.
Yeah.
We were like, we are so focused on idolizing this like idea of like a relationship or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that we were like being blindsided from like what was right in front of us. And that was like how amazing friendships have been.
Right.
And that was really sweet to see.
Yeah. So that was just so cool. And then like, okay, I was like, this is crazy. We need to talk about this later. And because like I knew we both were struggling with the same thing because we joke about it, but then like I didn't know you were struggling with it to the depth of you were, and you didn't know I was struggling with the depth that I was. And then we just like opened up about it, and I was like, this is what the Lord has been showing me all week long. This is what I've seen. This is what I've heard. This is what my devotional said. This is what it said at church this morning. And it was what you were learning, and we were able to just like process that together, and then now almost like keep each other accountable of being like, I surrendered it, and then I was like, yeah, I surrendered that idea. And then like, oh wait, you have to surrender that again and surrender that again. And then just like getting your heart in the right priority.
Yeah.
And when Jesus is not the priority of your life, then you're going to be left empty.
Exactly.
And then once again, grasping for a sense of belonging. And whatever that is, like whether that's like a school you're in or class or a boyfriend or a friend group.
That's a form of
your
idolizing.
Parents. Yeah, and you're just grasping to belong. And realizing it's like, well, I'm already his, like I already belong to him.
Yeah.
Why am I trying to find fulfillment in all of these things? Yeah. So that was just crazy.
It was such a crazy week.
And that wasn't the first time we've had a crazy conversation. Like sometimes we'll just sit down.
It's so interesting how that happens to us.
Yeah. And it's because, well, I actually don't know why it's because, but I feel like a lot of it is because we're just with people and you have to process things out. And then it's like, I'm thinking this, but why am I thinking this?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to live in anxiety anymore. So why am I thinking? You should get to the bottom of it, and then you always realize it connects to other things. Yeah. It's all connected.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
So, just like we were all connected because our moms went to Furman.
Kind of a full circle moment.
But I just think it even goes back to your testimony of belonging. And then it goes back to that, like what we were learning. Yeah. Being like, we just want to belong.
That's at the heart of it.
Yeah. Because then we like lose sight that we belong to him already.
Wow. Mind blown.
Mind blown. I'm kind of hungry. You're probably not.
22
hungry.
minutes? Oh my gosh.
Just go. Maybe you guys did just eat a quesadilla. You did just eat a quesadilla. I hope the DHS didn't get tonight.
Me too.
Just if y'all are wondering, like, I hope it's Sammy tonight. And if not, y'all are listening to this after Christmas, and that's, like, confusing. But we'll be home in a couple days, and I already told my mom what I wanted to
I heard. I need to make a list.
I was like, I want cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, it was really healthy too.
But yeah, why was it like that? I just want cinnamon rolls from the can that you pop open. And I want them to all be close together so they're kind of like
mushy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to like peel them apart as I eat them. I don't want to eat them in bite. I want to eat them as like a long peel apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm putting that on my list.
Tell your mom. But thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for listening, guys.